This beanie is both too big and too small for my head at the same time.
Wouldn't that make it just right?
You would think, but it unfortunately carries characteristics of hats that are both too big and too small for my head. So instead of being the best of both worlds, I feel like I'm experiencing the worst.
It's the worst. What's the situation? Where's it too big and where's it too small?
I don't feel like it slouches enough to be like a slouch
It's not
beanie.
long enough.
It's not long enough, and it's not short enough for when I put it like on my head like this.
You guys want to see what it looks like in the rest of this place?
Oh.
Make it big.
Is it this way?
Yep. Is that as far as you go? This is it if it was all of it.
If we were big, this is what it would.
Well, if we were smaller, this is maybe what it would look like.
Hello, welcome to the Play Podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
I'm Dylan. This day we're talking about being small.
We're talking about Rog Rack and cEDH.
Ragavan too.
I can't believe that we wasted this joke.
No, we can use this. This is good.
This is good.
Are we ready?
I think we're finally ready to go.
This podcast is brought to you in part by Dragon Shield. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 at the affiliate link down below for 5% off to help support the show.
Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we are talking about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
And I'm Dylan, and today we are talking about, I don't know why your intro threw me off. Is that normally how you say it?
No, it's not, because I almost fucked up my line then, too.
Let's do it again. Do it again.
Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
And I'm Dylan. This week we are talking about a hodgepodge of things. We have turning the corner. We have a couple other topics, general cEDH theories, some suggestions and whatnot.
We haven't both said the word hodgepodge today, but that is exactly the word that I was going to say.
It's a great word, hodgepodge.
It's so funny how once I do the intro correctly, we're so in sync and ready to go immediately.
I wonder what is a hodgepodge. Where does that term come from? Where do you think? Without looking it up, where do you think it would come from?
I think it's
hodgepodge. It's got to be a food.
A hodgepodge.
Hodgepodge. It's like a bunch of pig and vegetables or something. It's hodgepodge.
It's just like a bunch of
mix.
Stuff. Like I'm making a hodgepodge.
Hodge is pig. Hodge is hot pig, and it's like a bunch of stuff. That's what I'm guessing.
That's
like random in the
guessing?
dark, not knowing at all. That's what I'm guessing a hodgepodge is.
I think, that's a great question. There's like really no other context clues to help with what a hodge or a podge is. Yeah.
Hot pig.
A hot pig. Okay.
That's what I'm going with. Look it up.
All right, that sounds good.
Hodgepodge, hot pig dish with a bunch of other things for $500.
Dude, it is a food.
No, it's not.
Hodgepodge is a food.
Holy fuck.
But it's a creamy, comforting soup or stew, especially popular in Canada's maritime provinces, made from a hodgepodge or jumble of fresh seasonal vegetables.
I said vegetables.
But then it says, like new potatoes. And potatoes are not a vegetable.
They're not?
No.
What are
They're
potatoes?
a grain, aren't they?
Potatoes are not a grain. No way.
Potatoes are a starch, which is a grain.
No, they're a root. They're a root vegetable. Potatoes?
No, they're a grain.
Look it up. After you finish this one.
I'm not looking that up, because
There's
I know
no way
that.
potatoes are grain.
I don't need to look that up. And then it says like carrots, peas, and beans. But beans are also not a vegetable. They're a legume.
A legume, yeah.
So I don't trust Google's knowledge of.
Maybe they were insinuating vegetable and vegetable-like objects.
If they can't even tell me what a vegetable is for real, how am I supposed to believe that this is what a hodgepodge is?
Well, all right. I think we can probably agree that I was right, even though I was kind of completely wrong. In a similar way, I was completely right.
But you were also very right. Although it's not a hot pig, it is a hot soup.
It's a soup, and it's a bunch of stuff. I said bunch of stuff. Can we see what a potato is really quick? I can admit that it's not a vegetable, but it's certainly not a grain. I can't accept that.
I don't care what you can and can't accept. It says it's a starchy tuberose vegetable, but that's also on Wikipedia, and anyone can change anything on Wikipedia, so that's also not a reliable source.
Can you look up the Webster Dictionary of potato?
Potato facts from the Idaho Potato Museum.
That one we can trust, guaranteed.
Potatoes are grown in all 50 states of the United States and in about 125 countries throughout the world.
All 50 states is crazy.
Right?
Alaska and Hawaii grow potatoes?
Yeah, really. I'm very surprised about that. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the largest potato grown was 7 pounds and 1 ounce.
I feel like that's not impressive.
You're not impressed by a 7-pound potato?
I guess that is like...
That's like a half a pound potato is so much food to eat already.
I guess that is true. I guess, but like the biggest ever, 7 pounds. My dog is bigger than 7 pounds.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. And like when you think of like the biggest pumpkin in the world, it's like, way bigger than that.
It's like hundreds of pounds, I feel like.
I think you're right. I'm no longer impressed by the biggest potato
7 pounds?
ever.
That's it? That's all you got?
If I can throw and catch the biggest potato, fuck that.
But it is a vegetable. We can confirm that Idaho Museum says it's a vegetable, right?
It doesn't say anything in the potato facts.
Oh my God, it's a vegetable.
So I think it's still
He's still gonna be
unsure.
a grain.
Yeah.
Grains are grass. Grains are wheat. They grow out of the ground upwards. All grains, I'm pretty sure, are like that.
Well, what is up, really, though?
Don't. Let's just talk about magic.
Okay. I'm getting into flat Earth shit.
What's the first docket on the list of things we're talking today?
All right, so all of the topics that we're talking about today were submitted by some of our patrons, and Connor Sipon here wants us to talk about turning the corner in a game of cEDH, and I think this is probably going to be the most in-depth thing that we're talking about today, which is why I want to lead off with it here. He says, I find this is the thing that the best players I play against understand really well, generally understanding how to press their advantage or find a window to push when behind on board.
That's tough. Honestly, I wish I knew, but I can kind of guess, and I do feel like I take pretty good observation when other people do it. I feel like there's a couple of things to look out for, some obvious ones and some not obvious ones.
Yeah, the first thing I want to say real quick is don't use your interaction on opponents without advantage. Make your other opponents with advantage stop them.
Taking a note of who's got the advantage and being aware that if you are behind, it's not your responsibility to not die. It's the person with the advantage's responsibility, more likely, because they'll most likely have something. So you can like kind of make them have it, put it on them.
Because if you don't have any advantage, they have too many things that you're not going to be able to overcome.
Right, yeah, you have to make them use the stuff, basically.
Exactly.
And when I say make them, you have to like allow them to see that maybe another player is going to win the game if they don't do something. And just because you have interaction in your hand, you don't have to tell them that. They have 10 cards and you have one Fierce Guardianship. You can say, I have to pass priority here, because if you use your one counter spell when they have a whole bunch, you're not actually helping yourself win the game, I think, a lot of the time. If player B is going for a win and player A has a ton of resources and you have basically nothing but a way to stop it, it's almost not really helping you win the game by countering their thing and then just giving the game to another player. So sometimes it can be if it gets you another turn, but not necessarily. So like stopping someone's win doesn't necessarily help you win the game, but you have to figure out when those moments are when it can help you win the game or when it's time to press your opponent so that they deal with it.
Exactly, yeah. So pressing the advantage is way harder to do than finding the window.
I think sometimes also window finding has to do with like what your deck is like supposed to do. So like in Rogside, the window is turn 1 or turn 2. That's your window. That's when you go for it. Atali is the same thing. Turbo decks, your window is on turn 1 or turn 2.
Yeah, and your window's just like when you're trying to go for your win, is
Right.
all we mean. It's like when you're pushing.
Whereas for mid-range decks, I feel like that window can be all over the place. It can be super different, and that's kind of probably what Connor is talking about. When to win if you're in that like mid-range slot.
Yeah, how do you look for your window when you're in mid-range hell and everyone has 50 cards in their hand?
Yeah, and that's hard. It's hard. I think one thing to look for is how much mana everyone has available, how many cards they have. It can be irrelevant because there are free spells in the format, but how much mana they have will kind of dictate how much they could have. There's only so many free spells, right?
That's the first main thing that I want to see is who of my opponents has mana open and what mana do they have open in particular.
Is it blue? Is it white? Could it be a silence? Could it be touch the spirit realm? What could it be? Could it be a besage you? Like depending on what colors it could like help you like figure out what you can afford to play around.
That's the thing, yeah. So not only do you have to look for mana, but then we have to see, okay, which of my opponents have both open mana and cards in their hand, so that then we can determine what kind of interaction that they might have based on that.
And also like what type of engines are in play. How many of your opponents have Mystic Remoras? How many have Rhystic Studies? Sometimes it can be, well, if they're tapped out for the Rhystic Study, I just got to jam into that and hope they don't find Force of Will in time. And I find my own silencer, my own defense grid before they do.
Yeah, like what changes for me if I start pushing into these advantage engines, or am I in a situation where I actually have to wait to push because of these advantage engines that are in play? What deck is my opponent playing too? Does it make sense to feed them because they're playing, I don't know, maybe like a Sisay deck that I know doesn't have as much interaction as a Thrasios deck that I'm a little bit more afraid of feeding a ton of cards to as I'm trying to go off with Rogsai or something.
Yeah, that can be true. Same thing with a Rogsai. If you're feeding a turbo deck or something, they may not have counterspells or may not even be willing to use the counterspells to do anything about what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it can be maybe more okay to feed a deck like that.
Did Atali flip into a Rhystic Study?
Right,
and
yeah,
now, like,
feed the fuck out of that.
Yeah, I'll feed that. That's okay. As long as I can win before they untap, that's quite all right. Yeah, but does Blue Farm have the Rhystic Study?
Yeah.
Might be a little bit more afraid of jamming into that.
And then as far as like when to find the window, when you figure out the window's not there are certain cards that help you. Things like Born Upon the Wind help you at instant speed try to find a window. Things like Final Fortune help you at instant speed take an extra turn, sometimes between two players' turns.
They let you take advantage of a window when you find these things in between players' actions and turns, when normally you're trying to like look for the window on your turn. I like what you're saying here is that like, yeah, there are other cards that open windows and spots that you shouldn't have windows.
Yeah, like a good example of something that might come up is there's a couple of Ranger Captains in play, and your combo involves you casting a bunch of non-creatures. So you can't win when they're in play because at any time they can just crack the Ranger, and then what are you going to do? It's an ability. It's just going to stop you. So instead that you wait and you bide your time and you hope that somebody else forces them to pop the Ranger Captain, either with a removal, maybe a removal of your own. You try to blow up a Ranger that forces them to pop it, and then in response to their cracked Ranger Captain that would say you can't cast non-creature spells, then you could Born Upon the Wind or cast a Final Fortune or something like that to give yourself another window around that.
I think that's another thing that you need to be looking for in play is like, what are the other creatures that are staxing me out from being able to push my win in? Like, if Drannith Magistrate's the only thing in play, can I find a removal spell in order to get rid of that so that I can push, and now all of a sudden I have a window like that? And I think that's a really smart way to get around a card like Ranger Captain of Eos, which is normally notoriously something that's very difficult to play around.
So we have cards that make windows, we have looking for mana available, we have checking to see what engines are up, we have just knowing your deck when you're supposed to go for a win, right? I go on turn 2,
do I have the cards?
I go on turn 4.
Do I have my win condition
right,
in my
can
hand?
I win, right? Yeah.
My favorite one here is what happened during the last turn cycle.
Hugely important.
I think it's really important to be able to like play back the entire last turn cycle in your head so that you remember what counter spells were cast in this past turn cycle. What all did I see? Did I see any free interaction in particular from the players that are now tapped out to lessen their chances of having something else?
Did someone rat on themselves? Did someone say, I don't have any interaction? Can someone deal with the Atali? And you go, I will note that that player doesn't have any interaction. So if Atali whiffs here, I do not have to worry about that player.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like, was there a big counter war that stopped another win condition that now all of a sudden, like, did Ranger Captain of Eos have to be cracked somewhere else? But I really like that other thing that you said is like, did my opponent say something that ratted them out that now I know means I only have to worry about 2 other players?
Yeah, you had something come up in a game recently where Nate was going for a graveyard line. Brandon used an endurance to try to get rid of it. Nate had a Hullbreaker Horde that bounced the endurance back to hand. You very quickly were like, Brandon, do you have another green card for endurance? And Brandon's like, we're dealing with Nate, right? So yeah, he's like, no, I don't have another green card. And you go, okay, great. I'm going to activate Shifting Woodland to pick up a copy of Underworld Breach. And it's like, just like very little quick things like that will like help you find a window where maybe there wasn't going to be one, because before you would have lost to the endurance. But as soon as this pops for Nate, then you're like, beep, beep, excuse me, I'm going to try right now.
Yeah, I'm here.
You get to do something. I think in that particular situation, you just like intuition for interaction or whatever it was, but it just gave you a shot to do something cool.
I really like trying to like analyze the words that people say and like ask questions like that and try to get information from your opponent. So it's not even just like reevaluating the last turn cycle. You could even like ask questions now and figure out, oh my God, do I just have a window now?
I also like to ask a lot of times what's about to happen. I'll say that out loud to myself. What is about to happen? So if I pass a turn, what are these decks going to do on their next turns? An example happened recently, and I'm actually curious on your thoughts on this.
Ooh, okay.
It's an opening hand that I had. I was going second after Atali. Atali goes first, then me. I'm on Rogsai, and then it's like Kinnan Blue Farm, and then Atali again for turn 2.
Oh, I was in this pod.
You were in this pod. You were on Blue Farm. This was my first hand that I had. It was, let me see if I can remember it right now. It was turn 2 Ad Nauseam, but it was a turn 2 Ad Nauseam off of an Imperial Seal. I think it was like land, Imperial Seal, and then I also had like second land, Dark Ritual, Lotus Petal or something like that. And then I could Imperial Seal for an Ad Nauseam, and then turn 2 Ad Nauseam, and whatever it was, there was no second land in my hand, so it would have been a turn 2 Ad Nauseam with the land drop available, which I like that a lot. I think a sorcery speed turn 2 Ad Nauseam with the land drop available is pretty consistent. If that resolves, I'll win the game. That was my opening hand, but I didn't keep it because I'm going after Atali. And I'm assuming that if Atali does its thing right, they had kept a 6, I think. So they had mulligan a little bit, but they had kept a 6. If Atali does what Atali does, Atali's coming down on turn 2, which is before my turn 2. So I didn't keep a hand that involved an Imperial Seal for a sorcery speed Ad Nauseam, because then if they do their thing, they just get to a Ad Nauseam. Should I have done that? Or should I have kept the hand?
No, you did the right thing.
Was that right? They didn't end up casting a turn 2 Atali. They had a turn 3 Atali.
They might have needed to mulligan again is the other thing though too. But
I was just assuming like if Atali does what it's supposed to do, I'm just giving this Ad Nauseam, and they know too. So like they know that like if they can force it, if it would be risky or whatever. I don't know when Atali would ever not cast Atali if they could, but it guarantees they're like, oh fuck, there's an Ad Nauseam there. And even if Ad Nauseam isn't that great in Atali, it'll still draw you probably a couple cards.
Ad Nauseam is insane in Atali. Like
even
if I Treasonous Ogre out Atali and I only have 21 more life, I can still like probably get 5 cards off of Vitali, which is 5 more than I would have had.
Yeah, even if it's a couple cards, it's still so good because it's free or whatever. So I didn't keep it, but I think I brought this up to have to do with window. Like, I didn't think that turn 2 ad nauseum was actually a real window. It wasn't a real option because I thought, what's going to happen? What's going to happen in this game? And I tried to look ahead. That's kind of what I do when I'm trying to figure out where my windows are. Not only, like we said before, like look behind what just happened, but like what's about to happen. So like if a storm deck is about to go off after me, I know they're about to go off. I may say, okay, I have to do a risky shot and hope that my Jessica's Will is just good here. And rather than jam an heuristic study, for whatever reason, maybe I'm supposed to push now when I didn't really want to push because it's risky or something. Sometimes you might have to do that. Sometimes it might be good to not push now because you think that there's interaction that's going to be able to stop the storm deck. And if you push now, you take the interaction out of their hand. Sometimes it might be right to just cast the heuristic study and then let the other player soak up the interaction, and then you draw off the heuristic study to find a window later.
It probably all depends on like what else is in your hand too, because like you might not have a card advantage engine in your hand, so you might not have the long game option. You go, my only option is to push and just kind of hope, otherwise I lose this game guaranteed to someone else with a card advantage engine.
And it totally depends on like what your opponents are doing. If the only blue deck at the table is the combo deck that's coming after you, fucking jam. What are the other decks going to do? They're not going to do anything. If they're stack decks and the stack decks pieces don't affect you, or if they're playing red blast and you're not playing blue cards or whatever, you can just fuck them. But if they're a bunch of blue decks, you might have to second think it or whatever.
That's
so it's very pod dependent. What are my opponents going to do? What's their deck trying to do?
Yeah, you got to know like what their boards are going to look like on turn 2 as the turbo deck. When I'm thinking about what I'm going to be going off into, I got to know, well, is like blue farm going before my turn 2 or after my turn 2? So like, what are the actual odds they'll have heuristic study in play by the time I'm going off? Am I going 4th seat on turn 2? Way better than if I'm going 1st seat on turn 2.
Wait, say that again?
Way better of the odds if I'm in 4th seat going off on turn 2 that they will have heuristic study in play.
Yes.
Than there will be if I'm going 1st on turn 2 going off.
100%. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dude, telling the future in a cEDH game is insanely important. This is a skill I think you can only get just by playing a lot of cEDH and just knowing what a lot of decks do and what comes out of a lot of board states and what a lot of players are motivated to do. Because I feel like I've had a lot of situations recently where if you can just like correctly tell another player what's going to happen in a turn cycle, you can make them let you do whatever you need to do so that you don't just lose to somebody else.
Yeah, that's true. So like basically being able to foresee the future and like paint the picture to an opponent or something like that. You had a situation come up recently where you like basically blue farm player allowed you to cast food chain and go off a little bit because you needed to stop another player, right?
Yes, except the other player made a deal that they wouldn't go off for that turn. So basically what happened was I'm in a pod where there's only one blue player and then there's a Dargo Timna player that has a voice of victory in play that we know is going to be able to go for a win. And so I tell the blue farm player that only has heuristic study in play, you need to let me resolve my food chain because I need to feed you like 15 to 20 cards with my Atali so that we can find an answer to the voice of victory. Otherwise, you'll stop me and then you're still going to lose this game because you're not going to have interaction for this other player. And it's the right call to do. Like, it sounds absolutely ludicrous and silly, but you don't just want to lose the game. We're all 0-2. Right. We all need to have a win in this situation, in this tournament. And it ended up being that this was so the right call that the Tim the Darko player had to say, I'm not going to go for the win. That kind of forces the same scenario then. Blue farm gets back to their turn and I get to say to them, hey, nothing changed. I still think it's right to jam the food chain. Yeah, so now the blue farm player in this scenario actually goes, oh, this is my window. Now I need to win. There's no other blue decks here. I need to try to find something. And of course, he ad nauseums and then deals himself 40 life because it was honestly the worst ad nauseum I think I've ever seen in the world.
That's one of the frustrating parts about blue farm sometimes is like your ad nauseums aren't great sometimes.
It's a bad main phase ad nauseum deck.
Yeah. But sometimes you're pushed in those situations where you have to and just like hope you hit a couple mana rocks early, right?
Yeah, exactly. If I find Dark Ritual and 2 rocks, you're back into this, But then Atali just goes, oh, okay, now you're dead. I'll cast my food chain and then I can just win.
That's also like the joys of turbo, I think, a lot of the time. I mean, you kind of had an example here of how talking can be good in a turbo deck, but if you don't like talking in a turbo deck, you can like just always push. I don't know. I feel like eventually they will run out of counter spells and just like you get to just like keep on pushing.
You get to say to your opponents, if you try to stop me at some point, like, you might just lose to somebody else.
Right.
I don't know. I kind of like forcing, this is going to sound weird. I'd rather force someone else into a king-making position than make me lose the game because I'm not taking game actions and just deciding to lose because I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I think that's a common thing where someone says, if you keep pushing, I'm going to stop you and we're going to lose to the next player. And the person often will say, okay, I'll stop pushing so that you can stop the next player. I mean, and it's so case dependent because sometimes, like, you don't have another option. You just have to push and you have to just make them counter your thing and then hope that next turn that it's not there. Hopefully that they decide that they're in a king-making decision, so them countering your spell and losing to the next player means that they don't get a shot at winning the game either way. So why are you taking a game action that doesn't help you win the game? There's another coin to each side of the argument. So, like, when someone says to you, like, if I have to stop you, I'm not going to have anything for the next person, I think your response should be, okay, then don't cast anything, because if you're going to lose the game either way, you're not making any game actions that help you win. Here's an ad nauseum.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the other option is like, well, you just don't cast anything. You don't do anything. You can't win the game that way, right?
If you have a guaranteed loss no matter what, I don't like choosing who wins at that point.
And we're talking mainly from a turbo perspective, and from mid-range it's a little bit different, but like from a turbo perspective, it's not going to get better for me. You're going to have more untapped mana next turn. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. It's only going to get harder for me to win as it goes, and like my windows close way easier because every turn now you untap and you leave up mana because you have your engines in play now.
Now that can change where, like, in your hand you're looking at Rhystic Study and a Necropotence and they show to you a Force of Will and you go, how about this? I'll cast a Rhystic Study instead of the Necropotence, and you let it resolve and then go, fuck, I guess I have to because that's not a win condition. There are ways that you can, like, okay, I won't go for a win, but I'll still nudge. I'm not pushing, I'm nudging. Rogthrast does this very well. They're not going infinite, they're just making 11 mana. They're activating Thrasios 3 times. They're not going infinite, they're just gonna make another 16 mana. And you're like, all right, well, I can't really counter the thing that allows you to untap the Guy's Cradle again, because like it's just 16 mana. It's not really a win, but it kind of is at some point, right?
And the problem is if you still let those players do it, then they get themselves into a scenario where you can't ever then just do the thing that you wanted to do against them originally because it no longer works. They have too much. They can just keep going off. They've gotten way too much advantage, and it's just never going to be the same scenario ever again. So it just kind of turns out to be like you really are putting yourself in bad scenarios if you end up listening to deals from other players, because like you might not lose the game right away, but like that doesn't mean that you're winning the game. Like if you don't have the advantage, you're just letting them win even bigger than they could have before.
Yeah, like you have to make them use their stuff that they're getting off of the advantage, because otherwise they will just establish more advantage. So if they do not have the resources to establish more advantage because they're wasting all of their time stopping you, that's a better spot to be in than you doing nothing, and then for every 1 card you have, they get 3 cards. That long term is not going to help you in the game. But obviously there's an asterisk on every situation. Sometimes it's you have to listen to your opponents, whatever, because they show you 7 counter spells and you go, okay, lose this game either way.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Whatever.
Sometimes it's just inevitable. But there's other things just like, I don't know.
But trying to see the future and trying to look ahead a couple turns is super helpful in finding windows and just like being able to win in cEDH.
Yeah, exactly. I have one other thing. Just do I have any protection? Like right now I have the extra 2 mana to cast Grand Abolisher. Like maybe I can go for something now.
Yeah, just a test. That's like a little bit of the nudging thing. I'm going to cast a Silence that I don't actually super care about because I have 8 cards in my hand. But if it resolves, I technically could win. That's a great spot to be, I think. You know what I mean? Just like I have a Rhystic Study, I cast a Silence. If they counter it, I'm going to get a draw. So whatever. I have Underworld Breach in my deck, so I'll get the Silence later. It's a good spot to see. And then sometimes they'll go, fuck, I don't have anything. And you go, woo! Okay, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go for it. Some stuff like that can happen sometimes. And especially with things like creature tutors that can find Grand Abolishers and stuff, that can also happen too. Because if you Eldritch Evolution, the table's going to talk. They're going to say, do we think this is Grand Abolisher? Do we think this is blah, 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 blah? And you can either give them information or not. I think often it can be right to not give information, even if they say they have a counter spell. Just, okay, fuck, I don't know.
Okay, you can counter if you want. Yeah.
Or if they ask you, I think this is a big one. They say, what are you going to get? And you're not really allowed to lie in cEDH. I mean, you are, but it's like taboo to lie. Just say, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure
yet.
It's going to depend. Yeah, you might have something in your mind, but I'm not sure until I know it resolves. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, do you respond or anything?
You don't know until they say anything to follow up what you say then, too, because it is going to change something.
If you give me information, maybe I'll get something else.
Yeah, genuinely, I don't know. If you say, oh, fuck, then I'm going to go, oh, maybe I'll get Grand Abolisher.
Right, yeah.
But if you go, oh, I have a counterspell, I'll go, oh, I just want a Cabbage Merchant. I'm just trying to get more mana.
Yeah, getting that information can be super helpful in finding if the win is here now or if it's going to be here later or whatever, because you don't actually know what you're going to get until the spell resolved, because that's when the maximum information has been dealt out.
Yeah.
And you don't know for sure until you have all of your information as a player. You can't be positive.
There was a top 16 match at our last Play to Win tournament with Cloud City where every time someone was asked a question, they were just met with some kind of a response like, I'm just here to have a good time. Yeah. Or like, God is good. Just some sort of a phrase, one in Rome.
Yeah, like you don't have to talk. It can be helpful to talk. You don't have to.
You don't have to do anything.
You can say whatever you want, kind of.
Exactly, yeah. So that is, I think, all of the advice that I have for when to look for a window and how to press advantage when it's there.
Some of those thoughts had to have made sense. Do we have another topic for our hodgepodge?
I do. Mike H says, it would be cool to see a behind the scenes of your setup for Spell Table. As I'm getting myself prepared for some initial Spell Table games, I'm finding the lighting to be one of my biggest challenges for both visibility of cards and avoiding glare from overhead sources, and would be curious what a professional setup looks like.
Ah, a professional. This is my setup.
Very professional.
Professional. If you'll notice, these dead headphones are on it as a counterweight because my phone is just heavy enough that it'll tip over if there's not a slight counterweight on the other side.
I've never found a phone stand mechanism that does not need a heavy counterweight on the other side.
This is heavy on the bottom. As far as the brand name of this, I couldn't tell you. It's unmarked. I got to imagine this was an internet purchase after Googling like phone overhead mount.
And it was the first one that came up.
And it was probably like the first one that came up. So unfortunately, that is the advice that I have in terms of stands for me. How about you?
I have a larger tripod that looks way more impressive, but also holds my phone very poorly. And I have to have 4 thick-ass playmats on the other side of the counterweight at all times. Yeah.
As far as lights, I use these lights.
These are really nice ring lights, I should say.
Generay, I think is what they are. They look like this. This is them.
Probably some of like the best ring lights that you can get. There's a lot other cheaper ring lights that you can go for that will also be totally fine.
I like them because they're flexible and they can go a couple ways and you can change the temperature.
They have a battery or
battery.
I keep mine
nice.
plugged in. Mine's plugged in on my desk, so I never have to do the battery thing.
I hate plugs, dude. I have a thing about plugs. I want as few plugs in my life as possible.
Oh, really?
The tripping over cords, I find it a nightmare. So if I can do battery and it's easy to do that, I always try to do battery.
I hate the battery replace because now I got the second one that I do battery replacement and I hate it. I hate doing it.
It is annoying because it's another thing, right?
Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I look like Two-Face today, and that's just how it's going to be.
That's just what it is, yeah.
Yeah.
A lighting suggestion, if you can have your lights off to the side of your display, not over top, because the over top is what's going to give you the glare because it's coming from the same spot that the camera is. So if you have like 2 lights that are like literally completely on the side, not angled towards the mat even really at all, just kind of off to the side, I think that'll give you your best bet. In my experience, just like having lights off to the side, you can angle them slightly down, you know what I mean? But
yeah, just like a 90-degree angle, just a standing up light.
And then figure out, sometimes I like rotate them. Like one of them is like facing at me, but it's on the left side. And the other one is like diagonally crossing the board this way, if that makes sense. But they're both still kind of coming from the side.
I'll do the opposite. Well, I have one that's like going diagonal at my board, but the other one's bouncing off my wall.
I'll do the wall bounce a lot too. If you have a white wall or something, you can bounce the light off of the wall so it's a little bit softer.
Yeah, I have a dark wall, so it gives me just like a little bit of a different vibe. But like it doesn't matter. It's just a bit of a different vibe.
If you want to feel a little bit dark and emo, you switch it to the off the wall.
When I play the heel, you know, and I'm like playing Blue Farm or something on the show now.
Yeah,
right
right when you're about to win, you like switch it to like the dark mode
light.
light.
I turn my hat backwards. And then...
you already do the sleeve roll up, so I feel like you could add this to it.
I do. Oh my god, I never really put that together.
If anyone ever plays with Cam, once he rolls the sleeves up, he's going for a win, without a doubt. So if he does that, just step. He's got something.
Fuck, that's my tell. Oh my god.
What else?
Normally, when people play over Spell Table does not let you connect your phone directly to your computer for Spell Table use. I've had trouble with that before.
We use Zoom because it splits up the audio into separate files. So when you're editing the game, it's nice that when everyone's talking over each other, you can just isolate and take one person's microphone.
I don't feel bad just like coughing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of nice.
Makes it easier to cut out.
Whereas here, when I cough, I'm like, now I have to do a lot of editing.
Well, the editing still is the same.
I guess there's still a lot of editing.
Either way, you have to cut it out. But you have the ability to. But in Spell Table, last I checked, when you record from Spell Table, there's no way to split the audio tracks. So that's why we use Zoom.
That's That's why, that's why I like using that too. Or Discord, like if you record over Discord too. So that might mean that if you want to use your phone as a webcam,
which is what we do, and I recommend.
I would still recommend it instead of like trying to lean your laptop camera over or some shit.
People want to get like buy a camera and shit.
You spent so much money on your phone.
Your phone's camera is really good if it's an iPhone or even the other cameras. The other phones are
Android.
still good.
Android's always telling me how much better their camera is than iPhone.
And then they send me a picture. It's got 4 pixels.
It's got 4
and they're like, that's actually iPhone's fault. All right,
like,
whatever, nerd.
Okay, yeah. No compatibility. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so there's normally like another app that you'll have to go through in order to connect your iPhone to your computer to use your phone. I keep calling it an iPhone because that's what it is probably. But in order to use your phone, there is Droid Cam if you are a Droid user. There's IV Cam, which is something that I've used in the past, but I use Camo now.
I don't use anything now. Camo stopped working for me.
For Zoom, yeah, but when I still do Spell Table, you don't have to do anything that's for Spell Table?
I can just go right in.
Why am I talking about all this then? I just made a huge deal over the fact that like, oh, you has a hard time connecting directly to your phone.
I think it does have a hard time.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
It can still do it.
It can still do it.
You can't scan the thing. That's wrong. I plug my phone in directly to my computer, and now Spell Table sees my phone.
Oh.
I don't know.
Fuck. All right, I'm gonna give that a try. I got Playdate this weekend, so I'll give that a try.
Anything else we should mention for Bell Table setup or a
phone
Zoom setup?
Stand, Camo Droid, Cam equivalent, and then microphone.
Sure, microphones. SHURE.
The more that you touch it, the more voice isolation I have to put on it.
You have to do more to this. These are the good microphones, and you can tell by the way I'm touching it.
These honestly are like really great.
This is just kind of what everyone uses. I wouldn't recommend this setup with the stand necessarily. We have different stands that they plug into for some reason, and then we just never got a different situation. So when they go on the stand, I just lock them into their little stand when we do the narration, which is, we always talk about why we call it internally narration, like for the gameplay when we do that, when really it's reaction what we're doing.
Yeah, it's literally a reactionary thing. Like we show you something that happened and then we pop in. Like,
but we always call it narration
because that's what it was supposed to be when we started.
Yeah, and then we realized it wasn't that.
We're not saying anything.
Should we move on?
Sparky B says this. He's got a hypothetical for us here. If you could change the color identity of cards, which ones would you change and why? Like if Tymna was blue-red or Thrasios was white-red, what would cEDH look like then, and would certain cards be better or worse? Let's each pick one card that we would change the colors of, and then we can kind of...
That if I wanted to, I would just change the color of?
Yeah, like how would you... Like there's a card that you could make better by changing the color.
Make Silence black or something.
You'd make Silence black.
Or Savine's Reclamation. Savine's Rec or Silence are always the two cards that I would actually really love to play in Rogsai, because I think the Intuition line is still nice to have. So if I could play Intuition in Rogsai, and then if Savine's Reclamation was a Grixis colored card, if you're asking me personally, like if I could color shift one card, I think it's Savine's Rec.
I am asking you personally.
Yeah. So I would like, but what could Savine's Rec be? Like thematically, kind of nothing. Black.
It's funny because that effect is like already in black, but way better with like reanimate. Like they do that, but like what makes Savine's Rec good is that it's non-creatures that you can do.
That's the difference between white and black, is that white can reanimate non-creatures and black can only reanimate creatures, which is like, why is black's reanimate like not like, it doesn't make sense why black can't reanimate anything.
Why they can't reanimate
They should
anything.
be able, that's their thing, is returning things from the graveyard. They should do it best.
It's just all reanimation.
Like blue's thing is drawing cards, and everyone else gets to do a shitty version of that, but blue gets to draw the cards.
I would argue that, okay, yeah, black reanimates creatures the best.
Yeah,
but the rate of all of the white reanimation is much worse than all of the black reanimation.
That's true, yeah. But I just think black should gain access to that ability. Reanimate an artifact, reanimate an enchantment. I don't care. I think they should. I like it.
Yeah, they
You're
should be able
me,
to
and this
do
is my
that.
fucking opinion.
No, I think that you're right.
So I think Savine's Reclamation
all
could be black.
reanimation should be black. I feel like when they do reanimate an artifact from your graveyard, it's blue.
Yeah.
If it's an enchantment, it's white because of like replenish or some shit.
Yeah, I guess I don't know why that is. Like, why does maybe, I'm sure there's a good reason for that. There's probably another thing that black gets access to. Like black's thing is it can pay life to do kind of anything, sort of. I feel.
Well, then pay life to bring an artifact back. Or some
exactly.
Shit.
Yeah, exactly. I think that should be more in black's wheelhouse. So, but yeah, what about you? If you could color shift a card, what would you?
If I could color shift a card, I mean, I would obviously color shift a Tali to be 5 colors.
Just on the flip side, it's like a 5-color dinosaur.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or it costs like Wooburg to flip him over. over or something. Yeah.
What would that do? Clones, like Phantasmal Image is a good first one.
Play, all of the
just
clones
the
now.
They're kind of like, just as well as the copiers, the combo with Dualcaster, you get the clones.
But like, I don't have to play like 7-mana Chandra or even Kindle of the Inner Flame.
No.
Is now something I wouldn't need to play.
You wouldn't need to play
Phyrexian Metamorph is just better.
You would, oh, dude, Phyrexian Metamorph would be huge.
Dude, all the
ritual, like Dark Ritual would be great, right?
Dark
Ritual would be great.
Cabal Ritual, like there's Culling Ritual.
Culling Ritual and Atali, good gravy. That would be very good. Would you play like Brain Freeze? Like, would you make the Breach thing like real, or would you like not really muddle it up with another thing? Like, would you play Thoracle in Consultation? Is that good? Tainted Pact in Consultation is good.
You would play Tainted Pact in Consultation for sure, just to name Food Chain and just try to win. But then at that point,
why not throw a Thoracle and you're a 5-color good stuff deck? Like, I feel like of course you would play Thassa's Oracle, but you seem unsure.
Because it doesn't like help you get a tally.
But it helps you win the game.
Like it's kind of, but you don't need it to win the game because you could still just like Food Chain.
Do you know of any other decks that can play Thoracle and Consultation but only play Consultation? I guess Atali is a different breed. What we're thinking of right now is a different breed of creature.
Exactly. Like a 5-color Atali is different than like the first Sliver Food Chain.
I don't know. I think you'd have to play Thoracle. That's Oracle, the best combo in the format. I feel like you would. I don't know. Maybe not Brain Freeze. I could bite that. You still don't play Brain Freeze because you just you want as many good cards as possible.
I would be interested in trying out the deck without Thassa's Oracle too.
That's so funny. I mean, I play Sisay and I don't play it in Sisay, but right now I go back and forth. But my reason for Sisay is Tainted Pact and Demonic Consultation are kind of terrible on their own in Sisay unless
you're not on them. Right?
I'm not on them right now. Yeah. So I could see not playing Thassa's Oracle, but that's because Tainted Pact and Demonic Consultation are specifically really bad in Sisay because I'm not playing the Underworld Breach shit. I'm all in on Sisay, so exiling a combo piece is really bad. Like, I'm not looking for one thing. I'm realistically looking for many things. Whereas in Atali, exiling your whole library to look for a Food Chain rather, and exiling a Squeak on the Way is really, really good. So, like, to me, it feels like, why not just throw it at Thoracle?
I think the card quality can get so high with 5-color Atali that, like, you don't need any of the other just, like, win conditions at that point. Like, I wouldn't play Dualcaster Mage still, even though, like, I'm playing Twin Flame.
Which would be weird, but yeah, I could cut Dualcaster Mage. Yeah, you could get Dualcaster Mage.
Because I got to make room for all the other good cards. I got to make room for Grand Abolisher and Silence.
I guess there is an argument that, like,
Abolisher.
If you're doing your thing, then you don't need Thassa's Oracle because you're finding somebody else's win con eventually.
Playing Seething Song in like a 5-color deck just sounds weird.
I don't think you would.
Why wouldn't I? I'm still trying to get my commander out as fast as possible.
That's true.
Maybe that's just bad to do in 5 colors.
There could be like 2 very distinct ways to build this deck where like the one version is like you barely play that many cards from the other colors. You just play like the couple that are like make Atali better. And there might be another version where you get to play like a good stuff deck with Atali at the helm.
I think that's really what it is that you do play Brain Freeze and Thassa's Oracle because you're a 5-color deck. And then your backup win line is just like, oh, I got to Atali and spin into like 7 things.
That would honestly be fun if you were just like a regular 5-color Nas deck.
You just played like a couple of extra
clones, couple Phantasmal Image and stuff. You could go that route where it's like you're just good stuff. Or you could go still, this is an Atali deck through and through. I'll even still play Dualcaster, except I also get to play the clones and I guess the Dark Rituals and Demonic Tutor and stuff like that. Interesting.
Very interesting.
Either way, very interesting.
Either way, I agree.
I will consider this question answered.
Cool. Well, we talked about all the 3 questions that were submitted by our patrons, so we got that taken care of.
The Hodgepodge has completed. Do you have any final thoughts? We just got accidentally all the rares and mythics and then purposefully all the rares and mythics of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set released.
Yeah, do you think that had anything to do with each other? The fact that like they accidentally had all of the pre-release packs. I guess it wasn't all the pre-release packs, but a lot of pre-release kits from Lorwyn had rares from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know any words.
What is the question? You took so long getting through the words. I couldn't even pay attention.
Did they release the full list of rares and mythics from
because of this?
Because of the big error that they did.
There was a little bit of a link, a post, and they said, well, everyone has seen them anyway. If you want to go look for them, you know where to look. So here they are in their glory. So they just released all of the rares and mythics from the set. Gut? Not that strong. Didn't seem very strong. I don't know. We could be wrong. There's the Demonic Tutor that can be sneaked in. That one I think is close. That one could be cool.
I think that's probably the best one that we talked about so far because there are going to be like decks that kind of like coincidentally goes in.
But we don't have to. I don't know. We don't have to talk much about that set because we will still do a set review, right? It just might be short.
It will probably be short. That'll be weird. A short set review?
Fingers crossed. Maybe the commons and uncommons are crazy. Maybe there's like a bounce spell that's an uncommon and it's going to change everything.
Something about pizza is going to go really well in a tally.
Yeah, pizza's going to make 3 red mana for 1 mana or something like that. You know, I don't know. Maybe we'll get something.
There's no food tokens in the set, are there? How is there not food tokens?
I will offer a caveat with my gut reaction to this set is I only looked at the Resurrect Mythics, obviously, like I said, but it was just a quick skim. I could have missed some stuff. There was a Wheel of Fortune that you could sneak in. Maybe that's something. There was some interesting things, but I don't know. The Leonardo, I think, combos with Agathas and Walking Ballista, but I don't know if I didn't really look super close at.
We'll take another deeper dive as we get more of the cards out, because it's really only like another month before we have that set review coming up anyways.
I took Terra apart.
Oh, Terra's gone.
Terra's gone.
Yeah, so you're just on 2 decks now? That's all we're doing? We're 2 deck people now?
I think we're 2 deck people right now. For the moment, I may put together a fringe deck, but I gotta lock in on Rock Science to say, I think. I want to learn these decks extra well. I want to understand these decks extra well. I feel like I've been playing them both on and off kind of for a while, but I kind of want to lock into both of them. Every time I play another Grixis-ish deck, I always come back to Rockside because it's just not what, you know what I mean? It just doesn't look the same. And although Terra is great, I do think there's more room to explore with Terra. I think it's a potentially good commander. There was too many situations where like I was looking at a hand that could have been a turn 1 ad nauseum if I was playing Rockside, but it wasn't because I was playing Terra. And I don't know. After a while, I'm just like, I want to play the deck that is good. So yeah, I'm full on Sisay and full on Rockside right now. I keep on thinking kind of about Corvold, putting like I want a fringe deck together. I kind of want to do the lands version of Corvold, but I also realistically want to do like a Reanimator deck in cEDH, even though I don't think Reanimator is that good, but I want to just try. I want to do Hoarding Broodlord stuff.
Both have been coming up in tournaments, I feel like the traditional Corvold styles, where I'm just like incidentally sacrificing stuff and getting value, and the lands decks have both been seen play.
Yeah, so I don't know. I might look at that, but realistically, I'm trying to spend all my time Rogsai, Sisay from now on.
Yeah, I feel like that's where I'm at too. Like I still haven't changed. We talked about me doing this recently, so I'm glad that you're
Blue Farm.
Yeah, and I'm glad that like this is just what we're focusing on. We got our 2 decks we're focusing on right now, but we got a lot of decks that were submitted for the channel that we're going to be cycling through. So we'll still have a lot of other decks that we'll be playing, which I think will also kind of like help us just always know that, oh, there's like other decks that we get to play too. So I won't feel so bad for only having 2 decks together. I'll have like a good, consistent other run of decks that we'll get to play too, and just like keep things rolling like that.
The rule of 2. I think it's the best way to do. You put all of your resources into 2 things, so you have 2 very good things.
Dylan and Cam.
Don't spread. Yeah, 2 very good things. All right, thanks for watching. If you'd like to support us directly, you can do so on Patreon, like our $100 patrons.
Red, Finks MTG, Wandering Around, Mike H, Tom Bieber, Cumulative Upkeep MTG, Nathan Cohen, Mr. Jerby, Okie Toad, Penguin Man 0089, Eli the Magic Guy, David Newman, Johnny Denver, Omelette, Rocky Hall, Pat Fires, Frogman, Splingler, Larceny Roars, Your Boy Blue, Sparky B, S.C. Phillip, Holding Groupie, Zach Hartley, Big Legs Banjo, Reactive, Sean of the Ice, The Works 472, Gabriel Garrett, Mace the Ace, Luke Cook, Connor Sipon, Joshua Day, Demon of Rosgreaves, Peter Stewart, Corner Wild, Uncle Butts, Toot Luke, Quadja, A. Hamid, Scott Hawk, and Baby G-Bus.
If you want to pick up any of our merch, you can do that at PlayToWinMTG.com.
Thank you, Dragon Shield, for supporting the show. Use code PlayToWin5 at the affiliate link down below for 5% off.
Follow us on the internet for more content.
Thank you for watching.
See you next time.
Turtle99, Pay Me No Mind, Exo, Sarge MTG, Rick, Sharticus, McSaucy, Max McComber, Meta, Ben Finelli, Jason Brooks, Safarius, Ono Frog, Ash Wayne, Vietnam 69, Sarcastic, Mystic Muffin Man, Zachary Coulson, Dalton Poteet, Jan Wildfang, Thomas Bueno, and David Nelson.